Alright guys, TacticalRab again today. Hope you're all doing good and enjoying your day so far. Major drama returning to the CDL last night with Hacienda coming into the map pool officially from the CDL side, but the map that has been removed has caused massive controversy. Basically every single pro hitting the timeline yesterday, especially with certain teams, saying they're not happy with the change. But obviously, if all the pros aren't happy about it, who made this decision? Turns out the CDL made the call without consulting the pros. Is this fair enough after all the recent GA drama? Should the pros have been consulted on this move because they're not very happy about it at all? Very much interested your thoughts in the comments below. Hit the like button if you enjoy. Subscribe if you're new as always, I greatly appreciate it. Happy birthday to Matthew Formal Piper as of yesterday. Thought it was interesting to hear Clay as well, who, well, obviously he was still competing when he was Formal's age today, but now he's coaching and he kind of talks about how, yeah, losing is still rough. He doesn't like the fact that he's 0-4 with the Falcons to start the season, but it doesn't eat at him inside as it did when he was a player, and kind of has enjoyed the process so far. Obviously, there's lots of work to do with the Vegas Falcons going forwards. Of course, he was part of the Vegas Legion a couple of years ago, and there's plenty of work to be done going forwards for Priestahh, and we'll see how the Falcons fare, whether any roster changes are necessary in due course. We're going to dive straight into this whole map set update drama. So a few days ago now, the 16th of December, Shane tweeted this out saying that it looks like Rewind Hardpoint is going to go. Now, this seemed to be because the pros were making this decision. Now, Kenny then mentioned in the OpTic game chat episode yesterday that he'd put some messages into what seemed to be the GA chat, kind of talking about what was going to go, what changes they might make, and no one was responding. So, again, it seems like the decision making behind the scenes was far from clear between the pros and the league. But Shane was frustrated because Los Angeles Thieves very much like Rewind, and the rumor was the other day, according to Shotzzy, that Rewind Hardpoint was going to go, and it was going to be Skyline Search and Destroy that was going to go instead. That is not, as it turned out, the decision that was made. That seems to be what the pros had decided. Now, Rewind Hardpoint, that being gone, was still frustrating to Thieves because they like it, but some other teams were kind of happy with that, and it seems like the teams had agreed between themselves. There was not, I'm sure, much, well, agreement maybe between the different teams that Skyline Search was going to go as well. But as of yesterday, this is what the CDL confirmed. Protocol stays for all the modes. Red card stays for both Search and Destroy and Hardpoint. Hacienda is now in for Search and Destroy and Hardpoint. Skyline and Vault are still here, and Hacienda joins Control. Notably, of course, Rewind is gone. Not just from Hardpoint, but also from Search and Destroy as well, and Skyline stays for both, and Hacienda joins Control, which is, well, I think the pros were not at all convinced that Hacienda Control was a good map, and wanted it to maybe just stay at 2 with Protocol and Vault. Now, of course, they can still, you know, veto Hacienda and Protocol, potentially the two teams, and just play Vault anyway, but this was a decision that the pros had seemingly not endorsed. Now, as we'll discuss in a second, maybe that's perfectly fair enough, but obviously the pros weren't necessarily so happy about it. So, initially, the pros seemed to believe that this decision was being made based on what was, you know, said in the group chats. Now, I'm not exactly sure whether Spinner Spence and those league operations guys are actually in the GA chat, but there seemed to be a feeling that, oh, wow, they've made these changes, and it was, yeah, surprising to many of the pros they'd made the calls that they had. Scrappy, though, his perspective initially was that they'd made these calls based on what the other pros had said. Now, that's not exactly fully the case. Attackers like RIP Rewind, he doesn't seem so happy that it's gone, certainly from both modes, and Sender, who's with the Thieves, says this: one of the first times I've ever genuinely hard disagreed with the specific map set change. All bias or opinion aside, we've been around long enough to know what maps and modes are the most competitive, and don't feel like we're loading into a pub. Now we're going off sheer bias. Now, you know, very interesting assessment there from Sender. Do I disagree that Rewinds, yeah, it might not have been the best map, but it doesn't have so many like massive tall buildings. I do think that Shane's perspective on it was probably not that unreasonable. One of the only maps that actually have 5 hills on. There's no underground parts, which most maps have in this game. The spawns are easier to read than most, but yeah, Rewind is gone, not just for Hardpoint, but also for Search and Destroy as well. Sender massively disagrees with the decision, and Slasher says this: you can argue for almost any Hardpoint being taken out. Hassi Control, though, and Skyline Search and Destroy making it through are the most criminal parts of the changes. Also, he mentions the fact that with Hacienda coming back, why did they bring back the night version? So you guys know that they have opened up that side, that passage in the side of mid, so you can see over towards one of the bomb sites. That wasn't there in the original, which is probably fine. But they've brought back the other version, which I'm not necessarily sure was a massively good idea, but I think the original version, I think, was better. But yeah, that's what Slasher says as well. But it's this one, really. It's like, why was Hassi Control added, and why was Skyline Search and Destroy not taken away, when it seems like the majority of pros would have disagreed with both of those assessments? Skyline is fine to watch as far as I'm concerned, but for Search and Destroy, it's probably not the most competitive maps that we have in the pool. And as Asti says, has he got added to Control? For real? What are you talking about? Slasher thinks they might be on something at the CDL headquarters. And it's not just, you know, Slasher and the Ravens and Scrappy and the Thieves talking about this. So of course, we'll discuss Scrappy's perspective here in a second. But as Nastie says, Rewind being taken out has got to be an early April Fool's joke, surely. Of course, he plays on the Vancouver Surge. And then Envoy from Thieves says, Rewind out, yeah, we are cooked. Now, well, Scrappy weren't very happy about this. First of all, he found out about this on Twitter rather than the league themselves speaking to the players and saying, hey, this is what we're going to do and for what reason. And these are now a number of threads from Scrappy on his perspective on the matter. Now, you know, to be fair, quite a lot of this has been deleted because Scrappy then figured out why these decisions are actually made. But as he says, Rewind is gone. God, this league hates to learn the game, right? These pros are something else, right? These pros don't want to adapt, right? And, I don't know, Chet Rogers in the replies. And as I say, these tweets were deleted. And, well, this first one was deleted. The rest of this thread still exists. What I did find quite entertaining, though, is the way that Scrappy was reacting to this whole Rewind gone situation that he wasn't happy with because, you know, he wasn't the one able to make the decision. Wasn't that dissimilar, really, to when the community was in uproar about the snipers getting banned when the pros are making the decisions not in the best interest of the game and the community at large. And, you know, when the same thing happened to Scrappy, that he's the one getting annoyed. That was my read anyway. But, look, basically Mike G in the replies is saying, what are you talking about? We watched Vault Control 400 times and we're only 2 guns in the game. And Scrappy, I don't think he helps himself really, Scrap, because as he says, you're what's wrong in this community, but don't worry, 90% of people here are like you. So, I don't know. I wish Scrap would have a bit more respect to the fans of the sport who actually pay his wages at the end of the day. And I do think this Mike guy makes a fair point when he says, I'm wrong for wanting to see unbiased votes because, you know, let's be honest, at the end of the day, like, yes, Los Angeles sees might have a fair point. Rewinds might be a better map than some others from a fundamental perspective, but they would like it in because they're good at it. If they were bad at it, Thieves would be voting it out, even though it's a, you know, I'm not saying Thieves specifically, just like every team, this is how they do it. It's like, if they're good at a map or they're bad at a map, and even if it's fundamentally sound or not so sound, they're still going to vote in favour of what benefits them. So, yes, Mike says, what about some actual live map testing so we can see what you're seeing? Wanting snipers in because it makes Search and Destroy more fun to watch. Watch Vault Control 24/7. Viewers are the reason you get to do this for a living. So, yeah, I thought that was kind of entertaining. Now, there was also this, as Scrappy goes on to say. Last thing, the biggest problem is 90% of the teams don't know how to play correct cards, so they need maps that they can run around and make it terrible. That's why Rewind is out, to be honest. Illy says it's mind-blowing, and the rest of these tweets are all still here as well. So Scrappy was, of course, making the point that these pros have got rid of Rewinds because they need the cheese maps, basically, to win, whereas Thieves, because they're a good team, they can win on the skill maps. That was the implication, and, you know, Kenny even hit the reply to this as well. Whether Kenny agrees or disagrees, that, I guess, is a question. However, these tweets have been deleted because it then became clear that the situation had changed. There was also this thread here from Scrappy where he said this, everyone just wants bang-out maps now. No one wants to be punished anymore for not playing hardpoint correct. I guess is what the fans want to watch. Now, you know, to be fair, I don't think Scrappy's necessarily wrong that maps like Skyline, maps like Bocage, like, you know, Bocage and Vanguard, the fans don't mind watching bang-out maps. I don't know if, like, I agree with Benjay necessarily. They want watchability and good flow. I think that's true to some degree. But Scrappy's like, they want to see someone have 50 kills a map, which I think is also true. So I don't know. I think there's arguments on both sides of this. But Jake Hell was then saying, hang on a second, if every pro hates these changes, who made these decisions? And it turns out that the CDL teams were not polled on the changes, and the league simply removed Rewind, Hardpoint, and Search and Destroy because they were the most vetoed maps in the pool. Now, this is very, very interesting because typically the pros, they make their own mind up in their group chat. Then, you know, Spinner Spence kind of, I don't know, asks them, or Spence works for the league, but someone like that asks them what they want to do. They make the map pool changes. That is what it is. This time, though, the league has seemingly said, all right, I don't care what you guys say. We're making these changes. That's what it's going to be. Now, I actually agree with them doing that and not consulting the pros. I don't know if I agree with their decision making for why the map is gone, because apparently because it was the most vetoed map, therefore they have, you know, got rid of it. I'm not sure that logic fully checks out for it being the worst map though, because there are some maps that are bad and therefore, you know, a team doesn't even expect the other team to pick it because it's just not a good map. So they'll veto something that might be good, but is maybe better for the other team. So, you know, Rewind and Hardpoint and Search were vetoed a lot. Doesn't mean that they weren't necessarily played. Vetoed more, it seems, than Red Card, but Red Card just wasn't picked as much because maybe it's not as good of a map. So I think the logic here is probably slightly flawed in terms of the CDL looking at the most vetoed maps and saying, oh, it must be the worst. I think there's a bit more to it than that. But still, do I not hate the idea of the league just deciding what the pros play? I don't, to be honest. Certainly after all the gentleman's agreement drama with the snipers and all this, like, I don't blame the league for saying, you know what, these pros, they're not making the decisions anymore. We're going to make the decisions. And this is how it is in other esports as well. You look at Counter-Strike. You think they're consulting the pros on what maps are being played in the map pool? Valorant does the same thing. The league just decides what is played. The pros have to just get on with it. Now, to be fair, in COD, we don't have as many good competitive maps as in those other games, certainly not for something like Counter-Strike. So I do get it, why the pros want to have their say. And look, they had their say at the start of the season. They tested the maps, what the pros liked. That was the CDL Map Pool. But from now on, with Hacienda coming in, the league itself has decided this is what we're going to change, this is what we're going to do. And whether, I'm not sure I agree with actually what they've done specifically, but I don't mind the idea of the league just saying, you know what, these are the changes we're going to make and this is how it's going to be. I think the pros should be able to adapt to that, and the league, you know, should have a committee themselves that makes the decision based on what they think are the best and worst maps. Using the logic on the most vetoed, I don't think is the greatest idea. And Scrappy was in the replies to Parasite as well, pretty funny. So Scrap did a lot of tweets last night, as you guys can tell on this. He wasn't very happy. He actually followed up with this. My bad, pros. Didn't know y'all didn't vote. The league just ripped it out. You guys are still terrible though. So yeah, Scrappy not happy at the other teams or the league, it seems, itself at large. And well, there's another clip that I wanted to share for you guys here in just a second. So very interesting stuff. What do you guys think in the comments below? Because I'm sure lots of the community, after what happened with the snipers, will be like, you know what, serves the pros right for you know, all that drama. They didn't get to choose what the map set changes were this time, but I'm not exactly sure that the changes the league has decided to make are actually for the better. So but yeah, intrigued to your thoughts in the comments below. Hit the like button if you enjoyed, subscribe if you're new, take care, and I'll see you next time.
No, Vals, that's what I thought. Sam, by watching Kenny's video, I thought it was the pros. Let me watch it one more time, bro. Let me watch it one more time.
Yo,
Yo, Ernie.
Yo.
What's good, bro?
What's going on?
I seen your tweets. Don't disagree with anything you said. I think all your tweets are true. Quick question. Kenny was talking about that in a group chat. Y'all were asking questions and not getting answers. Was that like the GA chat, or is that like the chat with Spence, or like...
Oh, shit. I have no idea. I learned the map pool from the fucking CDL Intel tweet.
So they just came out. They didn't ask you guys?
No bullshit. I opened my phone and I saw that rewinds out.
Right.
Oh, that's not good bias, man. Fuck.
Okay, so you're finding out from tweets.
And then we just we think about the map vetoes. I talk about the map
Our
vetoes.
teammates don't have brain damage.
Huh?
But they're not going through
We're
right
playing
now.
Marvel Rivals, and our teammates have brain damage.
Is that
right,
true?
well, fuck your Marvel Rivals. I'm on the rewind HP. That
Okay,
is
yeah,
bullshit.
brother. Listen, I've said this to Ben. I don't know if you guys are live, but like genuinely,
Yeah, we're
if
live.
Talking
Yeah,
like
we're live.
fundamental maps, bro. Like Protocol is not a real map. Skyline's pretty NPC, but it's a bang out, so it's all good.
I like
Red
Skyline
Card
Hardpoint, but not S&D.
No, it's definitely a bang out, but like map design
gotta
wise,
have one,
it's
bro.
pretty flawed.
You gotta have a bang out.
Yeah,
Yeah.
no, and I'm cool with that.
Why
But, like,
do we have
Red
so
Card
many
and
maps?
Protocol are so much worse as maps.
Protocol shit.
Why do we
Yeah.
have so many maps in underground?
Bro,
Protocol's a 4-lane map.
we're good at Protocol. Like, we're good as fuck at that map.
We're good at every fucking map. I'm
So,
just
like,
saying.
I don't care, like, that it goes out. It's just, I don't
These
think
guys
it's
are
very
getting
good.
shit
map.
on.
Yeah, they are. What the fuck? They look like they're shooting bots.
What are you guys doing? Who are you watching?
Just watching OpTic scrims right now. And Stanley
scrimming.
scrims.
Lions team.
They're playing the challengers.